Okay, today is April 1st, 2014, taking Gracie back.
And this facility's got some grade AO2. I'm breathing easier just thinking about these air handler filters. Get some today. Get it? Got it? Good. Well, .com/air handler or stop by. For the ones who get it done.
Well, we're really cutting trees down.
Well, I probably just threw a bunch of these trees out here needed it.
President Obama is taking a victory lap as the Affordable Care Act has hit a major milestone.
What?
Look at all the sawdust they got on them.
Did they have trees back in the
Taking on that old one. Did they have trees back in the old days? That's all they had back in the old days, Gracie.
General Motors CEO Mary Barr fielded tough questions from members of the House
Sit around in the back of the hallways.
Probably. I don't know. Who got kissed by the frog?
Documents submitted by GM say the frog made the kiss the company's switch
Tiana.
Rose
kisses the frog.
missing Malaysian airliner could drag on for a long time. Today's search.
Wow. See, back at all this used to be at one time. This was nothing but trees, Gracie. What do you think of that?
That would be bad.
What?
You would have nothing to
Huh?
You would have nothing to see and
Nothing to eat?
except what they make.
What are you talking about? You got a lot to eat.
You have lots
Yeah.
like hot dogs.
I don't know. But you got pork, you got your pigs. Back in the day, they ate probably more pigs and chickens and lamb than they did cows. But as time progressed and cattle started to become more and more popular, we started eating more beef. You like beef, don't you, Gracie? Like hamburgers and steak and roast beef. I like to find somebody that knows how to make a good roast beef. Not big in the barbecue beef. Now you get the pig. Friday we're gonna have catfish. Is that okay, Gracie? Since it's Lent, we're gonna go have catfish. You get your choice between catfish or walleye.
What's walleye?
It's just another fish.
Okay,
It tastes different than catfish. I think you'd like catfish better, Gracie. Catfish is a little more meatier, I think. You'd have to ask Grandpa, though. He's the expert in all that stuff. Grandpa's an expert in that, Gracie.
Well, now, catfish is always more expensive.
Huh?
Catfish
It's the
is
same
always
price for
more
everything.
expensive.
It's,
Same price?
yeah, it's $10 a ticket. We get that, plus sides, plus dessert, plus drinks. That's what else.
What do you get for drinks?
Huh?
What do you get for drinks?
Whatever you want.
Coffee?
Yeah. It's Twin Oaks.
did they have drinks back in
What
the
else?
old days?
Yes, Gracie, they had drinks back
Well, I
then.
was down there for a long
What
time.
drinks did they have?
Well, back in the day, Gracie, they drank a lot more things that water was hard to come by, clean water. So they drank a lot more of like your wine and beer, and they drank things from like berries and stuff like that. A lot more of your lemonades and stuff because they had to flavor the water because water was not clean. Water is the best thing for you, but if it's not clean, you can't drink it. You're not going to drink water out of the toilet, are you?
Ew, that's pee.
Exactly. You don't want to drink that. However, if you get up in the mountains, bottled water's been around since the dawn of time. But usually royalty and wealthier people drank it because they'd have it shipped from the mountains. Because it was naturally filtered. Remember, at one time, there was no such thing as indoor plumbing either, Gracie. They threw everything right in the middle of the street.
Why did they do that?
Well, where else are you going to put it? We We didn't have a sanitary. Well, sanitation came along later on. Thank goodness, somebody finally had enough of it. But things weren't very sanitary back in the day, and people didn't live that long years ago. Most of the common age was in your 30s. Yeah, that's right. But as time went by, we started increasing our age. Now the average age is around 80. And it's growing.
Some of those could be on the strong side, 54 for a daytime high. Occasional showers again in the forecast for 31st Wednesday night, 50 degrees.
Well, on Wednesday night.
Safety Administration.
We just keep it off.
Come on, Missourian. Stay over to the right lane, buddy. Stay over to the right lane. Don't get in the left lane. I don't think that guy knows what he wants to do. Look, it's Michael J. Billy Kid is not my love, and the kid is not my son. That's an old song.
Take some calls. 877-310-2100. But first, let's talk about how this presidency of President Barack Obama is being defined. You know, when you think about President John F. Kennedy, what comes to mind?
Assassination.
For me, he was a president who was responsible for the momentum that helped pass the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and us landing on the moon. That defined President John F. Kennedy's presidency. Jimmy Carter came in the 70s. What defined Jimmy's presidency? One of the worst recessions in 50 years and one of the worst managed federal governments in years. It was as if Jimmy and his administration couldn't get out of their own way. That defined his presidency, a failed presidency. And then in the 80s, we had Ronald Reagan. The thing that defined...
So what are you going to do tomorrow in school, Grace?
When people think back on what defined his presidency, it was his positive attitude.
Well, whatever you do, you make sure you do 110%, okay? You do the best at it that you can.
We saw 10 years of robust economic growth. Reagan's presidency will also define by putting pressure on the USSR to cause it to
Alright.
That's the Reagan presidency. First President Bush. His presidency was defined by continuing economic expansion. As well as the...
They come to the right.
Nope.
Remember when Saddam Hussein woke up one morning and said he's just going to go and
All those people come to the
to
right.
wait because he wanted the oil, the Gulf War, and the success
Alright, Grace.
of the Gulf War kept to define
There he
the
is.
term of George Bush.
Look, there's
Then Bill Clinton became
what is it
president.
called? The dog.
What defined
What?
Bill Clinton's presidency?
The what?
There's a dog back there.
Is there?
Yeah.
Alright.
It's called Lucky.
Get here, Punkus.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Come here.
Yeah.
So they gave Gracie some paperwork at dance tonight, right? Micah hurried up to run in there and get it before Gracie could give it to me. So I asked Jen, I was like, can I have another copy of that, please? It tells the times and the dates of everything, and I don't know, she's like sitting there trying to, I don't know what her deal is, you know? I haven't kept them from anything, but you know, they would keep me. That's the problem. They want to play these little games.
Defined by 9/11 and how he took on the terrorists around the world. Defined by the Iraq War. And when Bush took over, we were at the beginning of a recession, and he was able to get some tax cuts passed and cause our economy to grow again. Isn't it interesting that every time you want the economy to grow, the president is able to get some tax cuts passed, regardless of the mix of Congress? Those are the ones that end up generating economic growth and more jobs.
It was funny tonight at dance. Marilia, Megan's baby, you know, they're all sitting there talking and everything else. Pretty much ignore their own kids. Let their kids do whatever. Marilia kept coming over to me, and she was standing right next to me. Gabby's sitting there staring at me, laughing and everything else. I'm like, pretty much like, get these kids away from me, because I don't want to get in trouble for anything. They keep coming out. They for some reason, I'm a kid magnet. And they all come over to me, and they're all playing with me, they're all sitting there. I was like, oh boy. All I know is Micah hates it with a passion because she's sitting there trying. Megan doesn't care. Megan is Micah's younger sister, the one that's got Marilia, but Micah doesn't want these kids. That she's just like, you know, but it's funny is because Micah can't do nothing about it. The kids keep coming over by me. I'm like, okay, I'll sit there playing with them. Every single kid in that place has it. All of a sudden, they just start talking to me, or they come over to me. I come in there, got a little late today, and Xavier's like, I thought you didn't come because I sat in your seat. I looked at Xavier's like, I don't know you. He goes, yes, you do. I'm like, stranger danger. His mom started laughing because they're also in that gymnastics stuff out there too. Yeah. And Alyssa got there. That's Ernie's daughter and her wife. You know, I know all these kids, and I'm still great with kids. I just think it's funny because no matter what Micah tells anybody, nothing she says or does ever holds up because it's not the truth, you know. And she just, I tell you, her best thing to me would be just shut your mouth, because, you know, first off, I'm not a scary person. Otherwise, kids, you know, they're the ones who brought their kids around me in the first place. You know, for the last couple of years, every single time. Not my fault Micah does what she does. However, Micah kept one of the Gracie's pairs of shoes out and put it in her other bag, which pisses me off because it's one of the pair. You know, Gracie has to use my shoes because they fit, and now all of a sudden, so basically now Micah took them out. However, if Micah doesn't show up for some odd reason or something else, you know, I don't have that pair of dance shoes for Gracie because they're in Micah's bag. You know, because she's now expecting, I guess, to be there all the time with Gracie, which I don't know. I could really care less, but I always keep my stuff separate from theirs all the time. But Micah has gone out of, you know, I always make sure I got X amount of clothes for Gracie at home that for her stuff, you know. And they've been buying, but the problem is they can't get her shoes and everything right because they, like I told you, you can't just go buy a pair of those shoes. You actually have to get a measured grade. And I have Gracie's all of her measurements. I even gave them the measurements. But the problem is I didn't tell them that every single manufacturer that makes those shoes has different kinds of measurements. So every time they try to buy her Gracie shoes, they don't fit her. So she always has to go back to using mine. And now all of a sudden they kept one of the pairs of shoes. Man, that's the reason why I record everything, and the reason why I got everything marked, you know. And if you ever notice, every single time I buy anything for Gracie, yes, I know sometimes it seems like a lot, but you ever notice I keep a record of it. And I've got pictures of it. But I've been doing that for years now. Think about all of her Christmas presents, all of her birthday presents, everything. All of her clothes. So if anybody, you know, because like I said, right now I know everything that's at their house of ours. Take, for instance, that Ann got her a doll for Christmas, right? That Brave doll, that red-haired doll, you know, off that movie, you know, it was a doll, right? We've never seen it since. Gracie took it home one time. I'm missing 2 of her Monster High dolls at home. Never seen them since. I'm missing 4 of her stuffed animals. Think of all the stuffed animals she has, yet I know exactly which ones are missing. I know everywhere from what socks of hers are missing, to underwear, to clothing, and I keep track of all Gracie's stuff. Problem is, I don't use anything against them. I have it just in case I have to. They would use stuff against me in a heartbeat.